Hey babes, it is Mother's Day, so I'm going to vlog. Took over the camera for today. We just got out the shower. I'm gonna make some coffee, and then my husband is going to his grandma's house. So I wanted to make some chocolate covered strawberries for her. So yeah, I will make some coffee, get that ready, and then I will go get my makeup and hair done. Babies. Now we're gonna stick them in the fridge for a little bit so that they can cool. While the strawberries are cooling, I'm going to go ahead and blow dry my hair. I pulled it up so that way I wouldn't get any hair on the chocolate and stuff. But yeah, I'll go ahead and show you guys how. So while I'm doing my eyeshadow, I'm going to tell my birth story. So I had my son James last February. It's been, he's what, a year and a couple months old now. And it was absolutely crazy. So the whole pregnancy I had preeclampsia and gestational diabetes, so I had to be very strict with what I ate. I had to take my sugar, 4 or 5 times a day, and it was really hard, but it wasn't too hard at the same time because we had a lot of support. We had, a nutritionist that I had talked to. My mom had gone through the exact same thing because she had gestational diabetes when she was pregnant with all of us as well. So I would take tests regularly at the OBGYN that would test like the protein in your urine and like all that kind of stuff. And I think it was like a 3, and I think 4 is like the highest. So she had sent me to the hospital for a 24-hour like test. So they make you drink a lot of water, and at the end of that, then they test it to see like what the percentage of protein in it is. And that was when I was at 30-ish weeks. So we did that, and my blood pressure was like extremely high. It was, 140s over 90s, and that was like my regular. So the 24-hour, I passed it. They sent me home, and they warned me that if it does happen again, they may have to keep me in the hospital for the rest of my pregnancy. And I was at 30 weeks, so I was like, I'm not about to spend 10 weeks. I was just like, okay, I understood what happened, and I ate very well during it because when my mom was pregnant with her firstborn, she lost him at 8 months pregnant through gestational diabetes. She didn't know she had it. Because of that, I understood the possibilities, and I was strict with myself, and I said, that is the most terrifying thing. I could not understand how she felt or how she got through that, because that is the most terrifying thing for me to think of, losing your very firstborn. You have everything ready, you're excited, and to find out 8 months into it, you have your big old belly, you have just a couple more months to go, and you have to stillborn. So that weekend, I hadn't felt movement, or I wasn't sure when the last time I had felt movement was. So we rushed to the hospital. After calling my OBGYN, they suggested us not take anything and just go straight to the hospital. And that was after my baby shower, so I was all dressed up, I had my makeup, my hair done, and all that kind of stuff, and I kept saying, okay, if he doesn't move during a baby shower, then I'll go to the hospital. So that's what ended up happening. We ended up going to the hospital, and when we were there, there was a lady that came in and did the NST, and his heartbeat was there. So I texted everyone like, oh, everything's fine, because that's like the biggest fear, like hearing the heartbeat. So once we heard the heartbeat, I was like, oh, everything's good, we're gonna be sent home, without even knowing. Like, no one told us we were gonna get sent home. If that wasn't the case, a ultrasound technician came in and just doing all sorts of different stuff to try to get him to move, and he wasn't moving. So the OBGYN that was there at the hospital came in, and she was looking at the ultrasound with the technician, and they both were, saying all sorts of doctor stuff together. And then she looks over at us, "Hey, you're gonna have a baby today." And she had said that how he looked flat on the monitor, he wasn't happy, and that she wanted to get him out as soon as possible. So we immediately got rushed into getting an IV in and getting me prepped and everything. And it seemed like it was, 20 minutes from beginning to end. It was so quick. There were people everywhere just like rushing. And they rushed me into the emergency C-section and did all the stuff. And that was even quicker. It felt like it was like 5 minutes, if that. And when they got him out, they just showed him to us really quickly. They didn't, take a lot of time, and we didn't hear him cry, and that was kind of concerning. But we knew that his heartbeat was there, and in that time, like, I wasn't scared. I was shaking uncontrollably because, like, the medicine that they give you makes you shake like crazy. But in my mind, I kept saying, fear and faith can't live in the same heart. And I chose faith, and I kept saying, God's got this, and everything's going to be exactly where it needs to be, and exactly I'm so thankful that for all the doctors and nurses that were there that made the call to say, okay, we're gonna get him out, we're gonna do that. Was Sunday it was Sunday at like 10 something that they did the emergency C-section, and I actually still had super high blood pressure. They put me on magnesium for a day, and I couldn't get off the bed for a full day, and then after that, then they had me on like 3 different kinds of medicine to try to get my blood pressure down, because it was still like insanely high. It was just crazy numbers that we kept seeing. So, and they were trying to get James, he was hypoglycemic. So they were trying to get his sugar together. and he had really, really low sugars. So they were trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to do in this sense to get him, you know, stable. So they couldn't bring him up to me, and I could not go down to him because they wanted the safety of, you know, both of us. And I understood that. And the nurses were like, that's crazy. Like, you're one of the only moms that haven't yelled at us. And I had told them, I was like, I would be mortified if I had gone down, if someone, you know, released me and let me go down there and say I passed out or something with him in my hands. I would have been so mortified. So I was very glad that they made that call. So I actually didn't get to see James until, I think it was Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. That was the first time I got to see him and hold him. My husband had gone down a couple times because he was bringing my milk that I had pumped down, and he would go and like see him and stuff. But I didn't get to see him until a couple days later. And I was just so over the moon. I was so excited to see him. We hadn't named him too. Like, the lady kept coming up to us and telling us, well, you have to pick a name because we have to, you know, mail out his birth certificate and stuff. And I didn't want to pick a name until I had held him and kind of figured out, you know, okay, this is his name. This is the name that I choose. So we ended up going with James Alexander. So then once I got discharged, he was still in NICU, so we would drive to the hospital every day. We would get there like super early, 7 o'clock in the morning, and we wouldn't leave until like probably 1 o'clock. They told us, okay, we're going to transfer James to Children's Hospital because we need the room for these other two. And also, they weren't getting his sugar stabilized well enough. And the doctors that they were communicating with to figure out, okay, what can we try next? What can we do? Were at Nationwide. So they thought it would be best to send him to Nationwide so that he would personally have those doctors there to see. So once we got to Nationwide, then my husband and I chose to sleep there just to be with James all throughout the night. And also they allowed us to hold him as long as we wanted. And I wanted to get as much skin to skin with him. And I wanted my husband to have that as well. So once he got to Nationwide, we were there basically 24/7. My husband would go home, shower, change, come back, and then I would go home, shower, change, and come back because I didn't want James to not have someone with him 24, or one of his parents. So we were in NICU at Grant for, I want to say, like 2.5 weeks, and then we were in NICU at Nationwide for quite some time. Altogether, it was 8 weeks. It was 2 months altogether. I can't see myself going anywhere else when I know that my child is in the hospital. Like, I want to be there every step, every single hour, every single minute. And I was like not wanting to leave his side. We had great healthcare workers, and I cannot thank them enough. They were so generous and so sweet. I enjoyed that time with James and that bond that we were able to have, and just the skin to skin. And then at that point too, later on, then we got into bottle feeding him, which he did not want to take a bottle. He was lazy and he loved getting tube fed. So that was a whole nother fiasco trying to get him to eat. And hypoglycemic babies don't typically eat that well altogether. So it was really hard trying to get him. And that's kind of what stuck us in the hospital the longest. But when they did like different MRIs and stuff on him, and they would take ultrasounds and x-rays of all different parts of his body just to make sure everything was developing and whatnot, and they did an MRI on his brain, and they said that he had lost oxygen for a small amount of time in utero. They don't know how long it was, but they did show that there were small cysts lining his brain and fluid, and there were certain parts of his brain that hadn't fully developed, or they think that the tissue could have died from not having oxygen. So the doctors had came in and, you know, gave us the whole spiel of what the possibilities are with that, and like what could happen, or what we can see in the future with that. And it was terrifying, but in the same hand, I was hopeful, and I was very strong in my faith. We were playing worship music every day for James, praying over him every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. And we just had so much faith and love, and we still do, that James is 100% healed, and he is continuing to grow exactly on point of where his physical therapist and occupational therapists want him to. He is so determined. I cannot tell you how determined this boy is. Like, he will get frustrated if he doesn't get a certain thing done on the first try, and he definitely perseveres and pushes himself every therapy, every appointment that we have. And it's so great to be a mother. Out of the whole time, there was one day where I had a breakdown. I will never forget this. I had a huge breakdown in the cafeteria, and I was calling my mom, and I was telling her, like, you know, this was my fault. I should have gone to the hospital the minute I didn't feel him move. I was just bawling my eyes out. I felt so defeated. I felt like it was all my fault. And she told me, she was like, no, like, you can't blame yourself for things like that, because everything happens for a reason. She was like, if you could have gone to the hospital the minute you didn't feel it, then they may have said, oh, he's fine, and send you home, and then you would have thought nothing of it, and something could have happened within that same 5, 10, 6 hours, you know. So she really helped me along that, and that was the only time I had a breakdown. And after that, I was like, you know what? She's right. Like, everything happens for a reason. And James was born that day, that specific time, that specific hour, for an exact reason. And he is just pushing all the barriers that they thought, you know, that he wouldn't do this, that, or the other. And they say the first 1,000 days of life, children are continuing to grow and continuing to develop. So he does a lot of physical therapy, a lot of occupational therapy, so that they can continue to give him muscle memory, so that when he turns, you know, 2, 3, that you won't even know. So, and he's doing great. He's like feeding himself pretty well, and just every week we have good news or good things that he's doing and improving on. Yeah, so I'm gonna finish up my hair and my lipstick, and I'll throw on a cute little dress. Dropped off this gorgeous arrangement. Oh, isn't that so pretty? So I'm part of this little group on Facebook that is Parrington Moms Boozed and Snacks. And look, they dropped off all these... someone that came into my house. Auntie Maple is here. Happy Mother's Day. She brought me things that aren't wrapped in a bag. I can find a bag. Ooh, these are really cute. Everyone knows how much I love hoops. They are my life. Those aren't pearls, they're opals. Yeah, opal, I meant. Yeah. Aww, that's cute. I did like the one that you had on. That was like this. Show the camera. And it says Risen on the little circle one. So cute. Can't wait to wear it. I'm going to put on the cute earrings Brittany just gave me, because I think it'll go better with my whole outfit. Because they have a cute little... I'll give you guys a little close-up of it. It's like a mother of pearl-esque. You can't really tell that well in the video, but super cute. I love mother of pearl. And actually, Derek gave me a mother of pearl ring for Mother's Day, and I absolutely love it. My fingers are a little too fat. Oh, I forgot I already had earrings in. My fingers are a little too fat for the ring that he gave me, so the only finger I can fit it on is my wedding ring finger. And I'd rather wear my wedding rings. So, I am losing weight though, so hopefully I lose enough weight soon to wear that ring on my other hand. And it'd be so cute. It's like a nice big cocktail ring. There. So cute. Jeez. I should have gotten that in landscape. Brittany just yelled at me because I keep forgetting to do landscape. Would have been proud. Well, Shane, my brother, decided to come over today and hook up a stereo system for us.
Sexy audience in there. Look at it. Look at those curls.
Oh, goodness. Him and Jamesy. Jamesy loves Shane. He loves to stare at him because he's like, you look like my mom and you look like me, so who are you?
What am I eating?
But we had this conversation about an RCA cable. None of us knew what it was. And then Shane was like, you know, the red, orange, or red, yellow, white ones. Then we're all like, oh, we all know what that is.
Those are called RCA cables.
Yes, we learned something today. So we are trying to WhatsApp our mother because she is in Trinidad right now. Oops, sorry, it covered the screen. She is in Trinidad right now. They closed the border, so we don't know how long she's going to be there. But we wanted to wish her a happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day!
Happy Mother's Day! So my mother is the only person that prunes my rose bush that I have outside, and she always wants to see what the plants that she planted out here looks like. So my mother-in-law got me this. Isn't it so cute? Are you watching TV and you're into your TV show?
Wow.
I'm glad I got all that on camera. Bye. That's our mother. Loves her TV shows.
Second Mother's Day.
Yes.
Third, if you count pregnancy. No, you didn't
I
have a
wasn't
pregnant
pregnant.
Mother's Day.
Are you pregnant for 12 months pregnant? That was good. I think this was probably more fun than last year. Because last year we were, you know, out of the hospital. There was Shane's wedding. There was so much going on around that time. So, you know, I had no time to think about Mother's Day.
Yeah.
But this year, Shane came over and hooked up the stereo. Him and his wife dropped off a cute present for me the other day, too. I thought that was really sweet. And I got presents this year.
Is that what makes a Mother's Day present?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Wow. Okay, mothers. I guess I'll learn that and then help her dip these. But then she just started dipping.
Because you were taking too long, and I was like, they're going to take
Let 'em
forever to
out,
cool. And then Brittany always... Brittany likes to spend forever at my house, and then her poor boyfriend is stuck here forever. And he's like, are you ready, babe? Are you ready, babe? And she's like, yeah, 5 more minutes.
What is the most disgusting moment of motherhood?
So, technically, I feel like the most disgusting one was not too long ago. We kind of figured out that he's allergic to peanut butter. Because whenever he eats it, he throws up. And there was one time, like the first time he'd ever really thrown up. Like, kids spit up, but he hadn't really thrown up. And that was throw up. Like, it was disgusting. And it smelled awful. It was all over me. It was all over the couch. It was disgusting. That was the most disgusting one. And that was, what, like 4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And then we fed him peanut butter again, and he threw up. So, no more. None of that.
None of that peanuts.
Then the most terrifying one was actually at Derek's brother's wedding. We were outside. It was so hot in there because it was in a barn. And he pooped like this weird liquidy yellow stuff. And I freaked out. I was like, we need to go home right now. I was like, I don't know what it is that just came out of my son's butt, but I'm leaving right now. So yeah, that was the most terrifying moment because that was when his sugars were still, like, he was still on medicine too. So I was like, oh my gosh, we need to get him home. We need to check his blood sugar. We need to do all the things. So that was the most terrifying one.
What's been the most rewarding moment?
Oh, every morning. Every morning, he literally wakes up like the cutest angel. Like, he pops his head up and he's like, where am I? And I sing him a song. I say, good morning, good morning, good morning. And he just lights up. He starts kicking his feet everywhere, and he gets so excited. So we have the strawberries in the fridge. We are so tired. It's been a very long day.
Yeah, I'm extremely tired.
Yeah. But we wanted to put out a little PSA that we will probably be posting videos once or twice a week now. It could be any random day, so make sure you ring the bell
so that you
so
know when a new video is dropping.
Exactly.
And follow us on Instagram, because on Instagram we will let you know when videos are coming, and we will post things on there too.
Yeah, and the reason why is because the salon's being opened back up and stuff, so your girl got stuff to do. I can't be making videos 24/7 and neglect my clients. So.
But we hope that you enjoyed all the content that we pumped out.
He's like, no!
James is mad at his uncle right now because he left him to go lay on the couch. And James is like, bro, I'm over here. Come see me. Anyways, so yeah, I hope you've enjoyed all the content that we've pumped out the last couple of weeks.
It's been really fun. We've been enjoying it.
But yeah, we're cutting it down to 1 to 2 times a week.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen our last video, that was our BAC tracker 2.08. Go watch it. We've watched it like 6 times. Yeah. It's hilarious.
It's so funny.
And I can't wait to post the bloopers for that because there was so much
more content and video from that video that it's just hilarious. Just pure laughter.
Yeah. Isn't it fun, James? He's literally just staring at his hand. But yeah, we love you guys, and this has been a great Mother's Day. And yeah.